Welcome to February, North Alabama, and welcome to the FOX54 Week in Review. I'm Stonah Meadows, here as your guide to the past 7 days worth of local news stories and features as seen by the FOX54 News team. Now here's what's ahead for you in the next half hour. After the ice has melted, lingering concerns and problems for some communities, including damaged roads and water quality problems in Limestone County. No comment, the Decatur mayor's decision to stop attending public comment sessions in city council meetings leads to more uproar among some citizens. You'll hear from them. And the curtain is going up on a new phase of expansion at the Von Braun Center. You'll see what's in store for this concert hall and what shows leaders hope to attract. But we'll start this week with a national discussion on decency and accessibility to books on public library shelves being brought to the forefront here in North Alabama. While groups are demanding some titles be reshelved or removed entirely from our libraries over taste concerns, another is trying to ensure everyone has equal access to thoughts and ideas.
Groups including Moms for Liberty and Governor Kay Ivey are requesting changes to library rules. They believe children are exposed to, quote, inappropriate content. The books in question have LGBTQ content, but a grassroots group, Read Freely Alabama, believes this is a quote to attempt to censor libraries. Our Stonah Meadows gives us a look.
Last year, concerns about certain books sitting in the children's section of Alabama public libraries really amplified as groups like Moms for Liberty and Clean Up Alabama pushed for removal of what they deem inappropriate materials accessible to minors. In a press release from Clean Up Alabama, they say they are dedicated to protecting the innocence of Alabama's children by advocating for the removal of pornography and obscenity from our library's children's sections. Many of these books in question deal with LGBTQ plus content. Governor Kay Ivey also expressed concern about the books. In a letter to the director of the Alabama Public Library Service, Dr. Nancy Pack, Ivey asked Pack to, quote, seek answers about the environment our Alabama libraries are providing to families and children.
Ivey made some demands about things that needed to happen in order for libraries to receive state funding. And in order to enact those things, there have to be changes made to the administrative code for the libraries.
Dr. Marissa Allison is a co-organizer for the Madison County chapter of Read Freely Alabama, a group that's trying to, in their words, push back against library censorship. They released a petition Friday.
The vast majority of citizens of this state do not want Moms for Liberty or Clean Up Alabama to make, push for these decisions that will change the way our libraries are funded, will change the content of them. It will change the way that they operate.
And it politicizes a place that should be nonpartisan.
Christy Schallenberger, who is a co-organizer for the Coleman chapter of Read Freely Alabama, says,
at the end of the day, parents have to parent, and kids do deserve a measure of access to information and seeing themselves represented in the appropriate sections in the library.
Read Freely Alabama says the community should be on the lookout for when APLS's administrative code draft changes become public.
There'll be a 90-day public comment period after that. We encourage anyone who does not agree with censorship in our libraries to come on board.
We have reached out to Moms for Liberty and Clean Up Alabama for comment on their efforts to change book access in Alabama libraries. Alabama public libraries and the books they hold have been a big topic here in the state.
I think the area that's got to be addressed are the sexually explicit and the gender confusing.
Groups like Moms for Liberty have pushed for the relocation of, quote, inappropriate materials that are accessible to minors in the libraries. Clean Up Alabama, another group advocating for the removal of certain books in children's sections, lists several of the books in question on their website, many dealing with LGBTQ plus content and gender identity. This debate about a child's access to these books was heard here on the local level Tuesday night at the downtown Huntsville Public Library.
I'm very concerned about the books that are in the children's and the young adult section that contain sexually explicit content. We're talking graphic in nature. We're talking heterosexual and homosexual. There's sexual acts. There's also images and pictures that are drawn.
Carissa Callan, a member of the Madison County chapter of Moms for Liberty, is asking for policy changes in our public libraries that would not only move certain books from the children's section to the adult section, but also change the library's self-checkout option.
There needs to be some kind of alert so that a child doesn't go to the adult section and still get one of these books.
But Dr. Marissa Allison with Read Freely Alabama, an organization that's trying to, in their words, push back against library censorship, voiced her concerns about moving books.
If you aren't able to read freely, then you're not able to see the experiences of all the people that you live around in community with.
And she says it's up to the parents to monitor what their children are reading.
Parents should be involved, and we shouldn't hold our librarians to serve in what we call in loco parentis. Moms for Liberty's slogan is we don't co-parent with the government, and if that's the case, then they shouldn't be asking the government here, these public employees, to do their parenting work for them.
Alabama Public Library Service will soon be releasing draft changes to their administrative code, where there will then be a 90-day public comment period. For more on this topic, please visit our website. In Huntsville, Sedona Meadows, Fox 54 News.
Over in Decatur, a man has been arrested for allegedly stealing an ambulance from the Decatur Morgan Hospital. Decatur police were called to the hospital, and they later found the ambulance and the man who allegedly stole it. Montez Fletcher, who you see here, was arrested and charged with theft of property. He was transported to the Morgan County Jail and is being held on a $5,000 bond. Well, we've heard back from the USPS on the mail piling up at the Newmarket Post Office. You'll recall it's in response to this. Take a look. The post office is very behind on getting mail sent out. You can see that they have bins and boxes filled to the brim with mail. A portion of it does have a tent covering the mail, and some of it is in plastic bags, but several packages are exposed to the elements. We've reached out on the matter, and here's the response we got. Deborah Federle, a USPS spokesperson, shared in, quote, "We currently have additional staff who process mail and packages during the day. For security, mail and packages are moved overnight into the post office building. Because of the commitment and dedication of our employees, we anticipate that operations will return to normal levels as soon as Thursday, February 1st, end quote. But we did do a check last night, and there was no longer mail under the tent you just saw, and it appeared that most of what was in the video we just showed had been moved inside. But we've reached out to USPS for more info on the recent delays and are waiting to hear back.
I'm told by some residents right here in Madison and Limestone County that potholes in the area have been a major concern as they are driving on the roads. And I'm going to take you to actually one concerned area for some residents right here. This is a major pothole, and this is off of Old Railroad Bed that we're seeing this. And I do see some water still in this pothole, but I've seen a few drivers coming through as well. And as these drivers have stopped right here at this stop sign, I've noticed them kind of having a little issue with this pothole. So this is a major area of concern here in the area off of Old Railroad Bed again. But I did speak with another resident who tells me that he's looking forward to not only improvements with potholes, but improvements just on the roads in general.
There are potholes, the road sinks, okay, and creates a pothole. And all they do is come in and fill it in with more asphalt.
Limestone County resident Charles Borcher believes for potholes in his neighborhood specifically, no one is working to solve the problem.
Instead of trying to find out what the basic problem is. I live right outside one of these potholes. I have an RV, and I'm always wondering if I pull out next time if it's going to fall all the way through. We just don't get the support and the infrastructure. I see now they're proposing another big subdivision out here. Okay, and I'm sorry, people, we need schools, we need roads. You can't just put in apartments, filling them up.
And as for driving on the roads during rush hour, Borcher believes this could be a solution.
They just need to make them wider and better. With all this traffic, you ought to come out here during rush hour and you can see it's all the way backed up as far as you can see.
We've reached out to the Limestone County Commission for comment and are waiting to hear back. Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Recent icy weather conditions in Limestone County left some residents in an uproar after experiencing things like no water and a boil water notice. Our Jasmine Bird spoke with the Limestone County Water Authority about what led to these issues.
About 20% of our customer base actually had leaks through that period of time.
Limestone Water Authority CEO Daryl Williamson says the amount of leaks exceeded the capacity in certain areas of their system.
Predominantly, we were affected around the Ardmore area. Some other areas had a little bit of low pressure, but the Ardmore areas where it really hit hard.
Which eventually led to a boil water notice for some Ardmore residents.
Anytime a water system's water pressure drops below 20 pounds of pressure, we have to issue a boil notice, because what can happen is groundwater could possibly seep into the pipes. And so you want to make sure that consumers are aware of that.
Williamson also believes the lack of winterization is what drove the low pressure issues.
So what did we see? We saw hose pipes still hooked up to hose bibs on the outside of the houses. We saw a large number of folks running their faucets. The proper thing is to drip a faucet. You drip the furthest faucet away from your water meter, and a proper drip should be about a gallon an hour.
So what is being done to prevent this in the future?
Part of what we're doing as the water utility, we're already about 2 years into a water plant project. Those are multi-year projects. It takes a long time to get those things done, but we are working through the permitting process and the design process to double the capacity of the plant that serves north of Highway 72.
And the second thing
is we are working through major transmission line projects to move that water that we get to produce into those affected areas like Ardmore. And so we've got a couple of things that we've been working on for the last couple of years, and it just, unfortunately, it takes a long time to get those big projects done.
In Athens, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
An Iron City man arrested after witnesses say he hit someone with his truck over in Florence last night. According to Florence police, Larry Palmer, who you see here, was arrested for attempted murder after he allegedly sped up, swerved, and hit a 68-year-old in the Hugh Road Walmart parking lot. Now, witnesses say Palmer was seen slowly circling the parking lot for some time in a pickup truck. He then aggressively ran into the victim, knocking them to the ground. Palmer then got out of the truck with a gun in hand, and the victim ran into the store to get away. Palmer left the scene, but was later found at a local hospital when staff reported to Florence police that a patient who checked in had a gun in their clothes. Now, Florence police say during the investigation, they found out that Palmer and the victim were both involved in a legal battle in Tennessee. The victim had non-life-threatening injuries, and Palmer is being held at the Lauderdale County Detention Center on a $60,300 bond. 2 HPD officers are recovering from their injuries after being hit by a car earlier this evening. The incident occurred at Parkway Place Mall. According to HPD, the 2 officers were struck by a car while responding to an accident in the mall parking lot. The suspect, identified as Khadijah Timmons, attempted to flee the scene of the crash and hit the officers while doing so. The 22-year-old was then taken into custody and was booked in the Madison County Jail on 2 charges of assault, second degree of a police officer. The incident remains under investigation. The Limestone County School Board is looking into rezoning students in several areas. This announcement has left some parents on social media with a few concerns. Our Jasmine Bird spoke with the school superintendent, who explains why this is happening.
We are looking at redistricting students in several areas in Limestone County.
Limestone County School Superintendent Dr. Randy Sharehouse says right now they're looking at rezoning the Creekside and East Limestone High School area. And the reason? Growth.
We're experiencing a lot of growth in that area. And when you look at the numbers at Creekside Elementary and Creekside Primary, they're either at capacity or above capacity. And then when you look at East Limestone, they're nearing capacity.
They're also taking into account all the new lots that have been approved.
There's over 2,200 new building lots that have been approved in that Creekside East Limestone School District.
Dr. Sharehouse says families who are affected by the proposed changes have already been notified.
Parents were notified specifically if they were affected by change or proposed change. change, then an email went out, a text message went out, or a phone call went out to let them know. And so a lot of individuals maybe didn't get a call. Well, what that means is you're not affected by the changes. And I think some individuals like, why didn't I get a call? Because we were trying to be strategic and just contact the individuals who would be affected by the proposed changes.
And for some families who may be concerned about driving from their home to a new school, the district explains they are aware of the distance.
What you do is you actually look at the fringes of a school district, and so you're not going to rezone unless you had to, but you're not going to rezone something right next to the school. And so you look at the outer fringes of the school district, and that's what you look at moving. And even though it may add some additional time on to their commute to school, it's the best we can do as far as it being as close to that other school as possible.
Now, Fox 54 Top Teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
We're taking you over to Newmarket, where we meet a teacher who's put in decades of dedication to her littles. Even when she took a break from teaching, she returned to what she loves. Meet this week's top teacher from Newmarket School, Amanda Johnson. Welcome.
Oh my heavens, she cried.
To Amanda Johnson's
Completely covered with stripes.
first grade class at Newmarket School.
And I was in kindergarten prior to that.
Newmarket is where she started her journey of teaching the littles.
I spent many years in kindergarten. I think it's just that desire to see they come in knowing so little sometimes, and you see so much growth through those years that you see them when they come in at 5 and 6.
It's home for her and what launched her years of teaching.
After, I guess, 28 years, I had some family events and I decided to retire and go home and help my family.
But she couldn't resist going back to teaching.
I was fortunate enough to land this year back at my home school, of all places. I'm here at Newmarket, so back in my home of first grade also.
This is year 30 for her.
What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen. Learning to read is such a huge deal. And when they finally realize that they are reading those words on that page, just the reaction that they have and the love that they develop for reading and learning is such an impact we can make at this age, I feel like.
Principal Carrie Smith, a witness to Johnson's impact on her students.
She always goes above and beyond, and she just has a lot of compassion, patience, and she's just very, very in tune with their actual situations.
And Johnson's impact reaches beyond the classroom.
It's a great community here, and I'm actually teaching children that I taught their parents. Now, I said, when you're with me, we're a family, and that's what we are every day.
Well, congratulations, Amanda. Cheers to 30 years. Check out the moment she was surprised as top teacher and go ahead and nominate one at fox54.com. A new event center is headed to the Rocket City, and get this one is for students at the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering. Today, the school broke ground for what's called the Sentinel Center. It'll serve as an athletic center and an activity center. This means theatrical events and basketball games will be hosted there on Friday nights, and students are excited about it. Here's a listen.
For me, this means a lot because I wrestle and I do soccer, so they're going to have a wrestling mat for us, which is going to be really nice because we've been having to leave campus to go wrestle. So now we'll have somewhere to have maybe some home matches and things, and we'll have a lot better practice facility for that.
Now, as students, we can fulfill who we are as a person, cyber-wise, engineering-wise, but also through the arts and through sports.
We never dreamed that the students would be so athletically inclined. Our studies showed that they were going to be gamers, playing video games and doing drones and flying drones and things like that.
We have put together a school like none other in the world. A school of cyber, a school of technology. We have put together a center of excellence. We have put together something that the whole world envies, and we're going to keep getting better.
All right, pretty exciting. And in just 4 years of existence, students at ASCTE have moved beyond engineering and cyber technology. As some of the students mentioned, they have 25 clubs and organizations and 16 athletic teams. School is not like what it was 30 years ago, even 10. Students are exposed to more opportunity, and in the River City, a new initiative led by Decatur City Schools could soon give high school students a third option for their experience. Our Sedona Meadows gives us a look.
Career Academies of Decatur serve students from Austin High School and Decatur High School who are interested in learning different trades.
We've got engineering, we've got health science, cosmetology and barbering, we've got heavy machinery.
But Decatur City Schools is now looking to expand the academy as a standalone high school.
I've got a lot of students that they may do welding or career academies or engineering, but they can't do multiple ones because they run out of time. So this would allow our students to do multiple pathways, multiple academies, but also possibly graduate early and go right into the workforce or possibly start college early.
This would mean the school wouldn't have extracurricular activities like band or sports. And DCS Superintendent Michael Douglas says he's been working with the state on how core curriculum would look, which could include embedded credits.
We've been working with the state, and what allows us to graduate early is you can get embedded credits through taking career tech courses. So a normal kid's got to take 4 math, 4 science, 4 English, 4 social studies. Welding could count as a math class. Precision machining could count as a math class. So by having as much embedded credit, health science would count as a science credit.
The state requires at least 250 students to enroll in order for the school to be a full-time high school.
Mid-February is when we do course requests. So we're going to educate the public, educate our students, and then go right into registration. So we'll know very quickly, probably mid-February, end of February, if we have what we need in terms of 250 students.
Even with full-time courses, the academy would still service students from Austin and Decatur High School. The district is holding an informative meeting for parents this Thursday, February 1st at Career Academies of Decatur. In Decatur, Sedona Meadows, Fox 54 News.
We brought you coverage of a surprising announcement from Mayor Tab Bowling in Decatur at the City Council work session last night. He announced he would no longer stay for most public comments after what he claims are false information and threats.
So community members made it very clear that this move put a stamp on what they feel is a lack of government. And here's a listen at that meeting.
Public comments initially provided a valuable avenue for community expression. It has become evident that many comments are no longer constructive.
Over the last 4 months, the public comment portion of the Decatur City Council meetings have been a place where the community can voice their frustrations about the death of Steve Perkins. Now, due to what he calls personal attacks, Mayor Tab Bowling has decided he would no longer be a part.
Some have resorted to baseless accusations and threats directed towards me, my family, city council members, and others in the city. I do not believe that these false comments and threats are reflective of the people of Decatur.
This didn't sit well with community members in attendance.
2 things I want you to notice, Councilman, is that your mayor has left you high and dry again. Again. You will now have to face the people by yourself.
I just want to know if y'all heard threats. Did y'all hear threats or anything?
No, I can address that if you want. It's more of just the
tone,
trying to have a productive meeting. That's just like any courtroom type or hearing. I didn't feel threatened.
I know y'all don't feel threatened because nobody in here has done anything.
Ma'am, if you say I'm tired of people calling me murderers and all this and that and the other, can you just get up and walk off your job? Why should he be able to? Right. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Let Mr. Craig talk. Thank you.
That's crazy.
We still want to believe some good in you, but that's running thin. Very thin. Because all 5 of you could vote to get him out.
During the work session, there were also questions about the parade ordinance.
Basically, to make sure that we understand that if you have items that affect the street, sidewalks, public space, ingress, egress to buildings, then you need a permit. If you don't do those things, you don't need a permit. That's simple as that.
Now, another thing to note is that the amended parade ordinance is expected to be voted on at the next Decatur City Council meeting.
The Orion Amphitheater is more than just a concert venue. In fact, they are showcasing a new literary and creative arts series, bringing a little culture to the community. A Moment in Time is what it's called. It's a series that will highlight art, culture, self-expression, or social justice, and invites guests to hear from inspiring leaders, creatives, and artists.
We want the community to know that this is their home. This is so much more than just a large concert venue where you have to pay a ticket to come here. So we like to create different inclusive opportunities to amplify the local community.
This is slated to be a quarterly event. Sometimes it might change. During this series, we love to explore themes of social justice, self-expression, and just even self-awareness. So every series and installation is going to be a little bit different.
Very cool and a very creative approach. All showcases are free to attend.
Arts are big here in Huntsville, and what better way to showcase it than by bringing a little bit of Broadway downtown? Our Kim McCoy has the story.
Bigger shows, The Lion King, Phantom of the Opera, and the big shows that are going to be a full week run.
The goal is Broadway, but first there's work to be done.
We've had plans to expand the Von Braun Center for a few years, to expand the theater, and part of that process was to engage theater folks out of New York with Phantom of the Opera, and we had them come here and do an assessment of the VBC concert hall, and part of that assessment required a lot of steel be added above the stage so we could support the bigger shows.
The city approved $15.3 million for the back house upgrades and more.
So we got that part done, and then we worked with the local architectural firm Matheny & Goldman to design an expansion of the concert hall backstage primarily, and then to renovate the theater at the same time. The majority of the work is expanding the back of house, the dressing rooms, the tasting room, a green room, and just a lot more rooms upscale, and that will accommodate the larger shows.
Maple shares these bigger shows will add to the growing theater scene.
We're partners with the Huntsville Broadway Theater League. They're in the building here. We've been partners with them for over 40 years. They have a demand for it, and we are a growing community, growing town, and I think it's kind of something Huntsville needs to do.
And the project looks to get started soon.
I would hope we can start within the next 30 days. It's been approved. Paperwork has to go to Montgomery, come back, has to be a letter issued to proceed to the contractor. So that just takes a few weeks. And then I'm hoping we get this project going and completed within about a year. So I would hope that the 25-26 Broadway Theater League season, we could have some bigger shows.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
We've all learned today that there are a lot of different, outreach programs to help, our community so we can serve our community better.
Buckhorn High School National Honor Society students believe this volunteer fair is very essential because it helps individuals understand more of what the community needs and how many can help.
And just kind of get a better understanding of the people that they live with and that drive the same roads as they do.
Allows the community to grow while also understanding what is going on.
And makes a connection.
Yes.
And sometimes the community organizations and nonprofits aren't the only ones providing the information. Just take it from Diane Pearson with the Alzheimer's Association.
A lot of times when we're out like this, we get information from them. Maybe, something that they have gone through that might be helpful for somebody else down the road for me to give that resource to.
Madison Visionary Partners Executive Director Melanie Thornton says that's the whole idea.
One of the things that we hear all the time is, how can I volunteer in my community? How can I become more involved? So the idea to host the first volunteer fair really was birthed from that. We know a lot of people at the start of the new year, one of their resolutions is, I want to become more involved in the community. I want to do more volunteer work this year. So that's the reason why we're hosting it now in January.
With various organizations from animal rescues to museums to historical societies and more in attendance, Thornton believes this is only the beginning.
I believe that we will host it again next year, and it will likely be at the same time in January, just right when people are gearing up for their New Year's resolutions and they want to become involved. I think the timing of this has been perfect.
In Madison, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Well, that wraps up another edition of the Fox 54 Week in Review. Remember, this is an exclusive program you get to see for free, along with hours more video content on the Fox 54 Plus app, available on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV connected devices. For breaking news and weather any time of day, make sure you have our mobile app as well. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Stona Meadows. We'll see you again soon.